Plaintiff Sean Ahern dated the defendant, but he claims their relationship was riddled with alcohol abuse. Sean says he and the defendant drank on a daily basis, and it was the downfall of their relationship. He's suing his ex today for an unpaid loan. Defendant Brooke Bickford admits that she and Sean were heavy drinkers, and as a result, they often had extremely heated arguments. Brooke claims she got sober over a year ago after going to rehab, and since then she's been focusing on getting her life back on track.
Start with you.
Okay, so I met Brooke in October of 2020. We met at a 7-Eleven, and by October...
Inside 7-Eleven, outside?
Inside 7-Eleven, yeah. Okay. I said something like...
by the Slurpee machine.
Yeah, that it wasn't... it was a 7-Eleven that switched to like a Pete's.
Okay. I was wondering, you hit on the woman in the store? Or?
Yeah, so okay. By Brooke's birthday, October 9th, we were already dating. So it moved pretty quick, and then we were pretty much inseparable for pretty much the next year or so.
So the relationship continued to work until when?
Well, what really happened, we were both drinking and on a daily basis, and both of our dads died within like a 6-month period, and they were kind of similar type characters. If they knew each other, I think they would have been friends. And they both had COPD, and my dad died from complications due to COPD, and her dad they were both on oxygen. Her dad was on oxygen and fell off a boat and drowned.
Wow.
So we had this like trauma bond that like brought us even closer together. But it also gave us the green light to really turn up our drinking, and we had an excuse to, because we had these tragedies to blame. And
yeah, some go either one or the other. That's been my observation. Whatever they were doing, they take it to the extreme after the trauma comes. Then others, they go to direct opposite. For example, many children of drug addicts, seeing their parent continue to use, that would cause them to say, I'm never going to touch even a joint. And then some will say, oh, I need something to get this depression off of me. And so, and life is terrible from now on. Where the other would say, I got something to prove.
We're both drinking and on a daily basis, and both of our dads died within like a 6-month period, and they were kind of similar type characters. If they knew each other, I think they would have been friends. So we had this like trauma bond that like brought us even closer together. But it also gave us the green light to really turn up our drinking.
Defendant Brooke Bickford is being sued by her ex-boyfriend, who claims he and Brooke drank on a daily basis while they were together, and it was the downfall of their relationship.
So I'm just making that observation, and that's not the only route to dealing with trauma. In addition to counseling, it could motivate you to kind of want to prove a point about your life. And I guess that's what happened with me. My mom pretty much died in my arms, 17 years old, took care of her the last few months by myself, dying of cancer, taking her to treatments every 2 days, which back then in the 70s, treatment lasts, you're debilitated and nauseated for 2 days at a time. So if you go 3 days times 2 every day.
Yeah, it's rough.
That's what I had to see with my own eyes till I took her to the hospital that last time. So my point is, you see what that did to me? I was a thug. Yeah. That's what said, oh no, I'm gonna change this. In fact, I changed before she passed, was in college 9 months later. So I say that to say, and that it can act the extreme, and I'm telling and educating folks that you can make your parent, yourself, or others proud of you by surviving and excelling past that trauma. versus consuming it and allowing it to destroy you. Point I'm making to young people and adults as well. Let me hear from you. Give me some background.
So like you said, we did meet at 7-Eleven in October of 2020. We began drinking quite heavily. And like you said, our fathers did both pass away.
Sorry to hear that too, both of you guys.
Thank you. So our fights kind of escalated to a point where they shouldn't have gone to. And
About what?
I mean, when you're drinking that heavily, I mean, most of the time you don't even remember what the fight started from. So at a point in July of 2021, I went to rehab, and I've been sober since. And
Good. Tell me why we're suing here today.
Okay, so we went to a New Year's Eve party that year, 2020, and there was a conversation about Bitcoin. There's these machines. It's like a beefed up computer that you plug it in, and it pulls Bitcoins out of basically cyberspace. Now, I have a sour taste in my mouth from Bitcoin. I was involved in the early days where they were still back $300 something a piece. Now they're they've been as much as $50,000 a piece. So if I had what I had in whatever year it was, it would have been as much as $50 million. So every time I hear Bitcoin, it's just like, it's kind of like...
Have you ever seen anybody that proved to you they made a significant amount of money? Not just telling you, not even buying a car because you got it in your girlfriend's name and you want to play your fronts up because you done told everybody you're making Bitcoin money and you're losing all your money. But to keep it up, you got to get the car out in your mama's name and play your fronts. So my point is, I've never heard anybody lose money on Bitcoin. Never in my life.
Yeah.
Nobody's willing to admit it. You're the first person to ever admit it they lost money. Yeah. Have you heard other people say that? Give them a hand.
Thanks. Yeah.
Seriously, have you heard other folks admit that they've lost money?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in general, even in the market, nobody wants to say, or gambling.
Right, you get embarrassed.
Broke even. Yeah. So.
All right, so we got a hero here. You're telling people that you can lose all your money.
Yeah, in an instant.
In an instant, overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight.
our fathers did both pass away.
Sorry to hear that too, both of you.
Thank you. So our fights kind of escalated to a point where they shouldn't have gone to. And
About what?
when you're drinking that heavily, I mean, most of the time you don't even remember what the fight started from. So at a point in July of 2021, I went to rehab, and I've been sober since. And
Defendant Brooke Bickford is being sued by her ex-boyfriend, who claims he and Brooke drank on a daily basis while they were together, and it was the downfall of their relationship.
My question about Bitcoin, and that's why I haven't touched it, is highly risky. My concern has always been, and maybe I've missed it, because I've looked and walked around, I've seen these machines, I asked the clerk about the machines. How? If you tell me I got $50 million, isn't that what you say you would have made? Mm-hmm. Where could you go and say, hey, could you put that $50 million? I want it cash. I'm out the market. I want my money. Or at least I want to withdraw $1 million. How do you get that $1 million in your hand?
$1 million would be tough. I mean, well, now that you mentioned the ATM machines, I mean, you'd be able to probably get at least $500, $1,000.
You can get cash out of there.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you get your money otherwise? You say, well, I just need my money.
Yeah, I mean, you could probably use a company like Coinbase, and they could send you a check.
Okay, so you can put in $500. Tomorrow's worth $10,000. You call them, I want my $10,000 real quick, can I?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it went up...
I'm going to check that out. All right, because if I get my money the very next day that it skyrockets, I'm in.
Yeah.
I got to have it in my hand, though, crisp.
Yeah.
Might even want it all in one direction. All right. Thanks for the education, though, because I'm totally confused about how to get your money in your hands. Thank you for that. And tell me about the conversation you had about Bitcoin that led to her $5,000 or your $5,000 loan.
So I wanted to avoid it, but we had gotten into this fight on the 15th of April that was pretty ugly, and I felt really bad about. And kind of as like a peace offering, I said, you know what, the machine that you wanted to get, let me lend you this money to do it. Let's do it, you know. And she plugged it in, and it started working. But it needed a commercial electrician to come in and wire this thing up right. I mean, she lives in the upstairs apartment at somebody's house, residential wiring, and we're in the backyard, and it sounded like firecrackers going off. And we go upstairs, and the thing's smoking, throw a blanket on it, call the fire department, the whole deal. And it doesn't take long for a fire to destroy a computer, so it was pretty much scrap metal within a couple minutes. And then her argument was, you know, how am I going to pay you back if the machine's burned up? And that kind of put some pressure on our relationship as far as, well, that wasn't really the deal. I didn't
ask for your money. She's never agreed to repay?
And she said that, you know, that how am I going to pay you back?
Defendant Brooke Bickford is being sued by her ex-boyfriend, who claims he and Brooke drank on a daily basis while they were together, and it was the downfall of their relationship.
Let me hear from you.
I agreed to pay him $5,000 back, along with 5% of the proceeds of if the machine working.
Any defense?
What was that?
Any defense to having not paid?
After getting sober, I decided to focus on myself and,
Okay, so you don't want to
get
pay
back
what
into
you
work.
owe because you focus on yourself. You sure you're going to AA?
Yes.
Because one of the principles is to repair the damage.
Yes.
And you're not. So it's not working for you. Okay. $5,000 is your judgment. Her response was, I got to focus on myself. I ain't thinking about paying him. That ain't part of the program. Yes, it is. Judgment for the plaintiff. Have a good day.
I mean, we're, best friends, and I think you're doing great, and I'm glad this is over with, and I think you're doing great regardless of what happened here.
I am glad this is over, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.